Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 podcast. My name is Nyasha and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Joining me as ever today is a man, the myth, the legend. I think I'm going to start calling him the instigator.
True.
He's a man who's actually, I can get this going now, can't I? He's a man who's not afraid to say what he thinks. He's a man who doesn't care for the whimsical nature of social media. He's here just to talk about the facts and the facts only, and do it in a way like only a wordsmith like him can. Saying this is my brother, Cameron F1. How you doing?
Let's go. I'm good, bruv. Cheese. Loving that intro, bruv. Loving the sound effects. And I am, in the words of the inimitable Nyasha of Quick Stop F1, I'm here to pod, bruv. I'm here to pod.
Here to pod today. There's a lot of things that I don't think we could have got through. Well, a lot of stuff has happened since Bahrain. We're a week removed now. We're a week away. A week from then. It's a week removed afterwards or before.
From Bahrain? Oh.
Yeah. If you say a week removed. You know what,
bruv? It's a good shout still. I think a week removed is more normally the things in advance, I think.
Right, okay, right. So we're a week after, right? See, I tried to be like you. I slipped up on the first go.
Don't quote me over.
We're a week after Bahrain. Removed is in the past.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you see? Whoa. That's Mario Producer. Bang. There you go. No, so a lot of stuff's happened. The big focus of the week, before I get into that, sorry, guys, thank you for watching. If you're watching this, make sure to like and subscribe on this video. We've got a Patreon. If you don't like the ads, we started ad-free $2.99 tier, as well as a $7.50 tier for extra content every month, and a £25 merch tier, which is like every 3 months you get free exclusive merch. Not this one, because this is on the website at quickstopf1.com. The last few days of the pre-sale. Once it's finished, it's finished. No more sizes being done. So, back to F1. We are a week removed from Bahrain. The big news story is that Mercedes... There wasn't even a lot of noise coming out of Mercedes. I think they tried to tone it down. I think the problem with Mercedes was they tried to tone it down, and even though they turned it down or toned down the expectations, they were even worse than expected. We saw a situation where, despite triggering an undercut on the Aston Martin was able to stay out and not lose that much time before coming in, and Alonso obviously passing Lewis quite easily in the end with a 4-lap tyre deg advantage, and obviously Lance Stroll finishing ahead of George Russell. Cameron, before we get into everything else, I guess, are people overreacting? There's been a strength of emotion online regarding Mercedes. Has there been a strength, is the strength of reaction from Mercedes fans over the top, or are they kind of justified in how they're feeling currently?
Oh, bloody Nora Nasha with the loaded questions straight off the bat, no chaser. Mate, so I think two things can be true. Of course, there's a massive overreaction in the community. Of course, there is. Mercedes fans around the world are used to winning only 8 Constructors' Championship, 6 championships through Lewis Hamilton. That's all that some Mercedes fans have ever known, right? So this is unprecedented settings for them. Yeah. But in the same token, Nasha, there are issues, and we've been through them a million and one times before, issues very deep-seated at Mercedes, not least of which around the car design, the design concept and the design philosophy, and a bit of aerodynamic and technical ignorance seeping in. That's what we're seeing, brother. We can go for the side pod
You're
stuff.
not even. We've been on this call for 5 minutes.
Frustrating, bro. Not ramping today. Not ramping.
Okay, no, you're here to pod today. Okay.
Not ramping.
Okay,
No
let's do
messing.
it.
Not messing.
So after you then, yeah.
I was just going to say, if we're being honest with each other and F1 fans that are observing evidence objectively in real time, then sadly, bruv, what we're seeing out of the car isn't fantastic. People have been screaming, technical minds infinitely more intelligent and knowledgeable about the sport and aero than me, been screaming about the side pods. Why don't we have them to manage the wake coming off the back of the front tyre? Because in 2023, no barge board, it's really important, mission critical even. And again, technical arrogance / incompetence, the fact that they're the only team, Nyasha, only team with a slim pod concept in 2023. The rest of them, knowing how mission critical it is to manage that wake off the back of the front tyre, have extended the width and breadth of their side pod, most notably being Red Bull. So what are we doing here, Nyasha? It's bonkers, bruv, and I'm wrestling with it myself. I just feel like it's they've got to start holding themselves to account now, because 12 months worth of data gathering and still we find ourselves materially off of the top step of the podium. Lewis Hamilton hasn't got long, Nyasha. 2-3 seasons maximum left. So why are we wasting time here, man? Sort it out, Mercedes, surely. Sort it, man. It's not good enough.
I mean, look, I think the issue is that we are in a situation where, okay, I'm going to give you the point of view of the fan, right? I'm not an aerodynamicist. I'm not someone who I would say is incredibly technically kind of up to date, or not up to date, but knowledgeable, right? But I'm competent. I'm like, I guess I can have we can have this basic conversation, right?
Yeah.
Right? So I think what's happened is, and where I think a lot of the issues come with Mercedes is, you know what, yeah? Black man can't fool again. I'm telling you, I trusted these man. I trusted these man last week. Yeah, no, last year I trusted them. I said, okay, you know what? The car is bad, but they're working on it. And if we come into this season, and they've repeatedly said, every time me and you've had a conversation, you've said it's the side pods, and I've gone, well, the team are saying it's not the side pods. So if the team are saying it's not the side pods, then why would I have any reason to not believe them? You know, if someone says to you, bro, I just seen your girl with someone the other day, and then you ask your girl, like, babe, were you with this? No, babe, it was a friend. I'm scarred, but I believe her. And now we've got to a situation. You've got to a situation now where Mercedes side pods are fundamentally an issue. I'll read you a quote from Toho Sport. I think it's important to be bold in this sport, and a narrow side pod design is not something that we believe was fundamentally the reason why we didn't before. However, he then goes on to say, at another point in time, and obviously you can see the side pods that are very different to any other car, but we believe that this is not a performance relative part. So we are led to believe it was the flaw. But then Toto essentially comes out and says in Bahrain, you know,
side pod soon reach.
We need to change concept. How serious do you think and we'll get into like the levels of accountability that they're kind of holding themselves to later, but that interview post Bahrain where he basically was like, this concept is dead. We need to change concept now. I guess, what does that say to you? I'm not going to ask a question, but what does that say to you when a team principal comes out and says that?
But the optics aren't good, Nyasha, Because only like 48, 72 hours earlier, he's using eventually this car will get there and be challenging for podiums, right? So for the leader, the team principal of the team, 30% stakeholder and all that, strategic Donny Toto Wolff to flip reverse, to do a 180 in such a short space of time. You got to raise questions. Nyasha, that's not a good look. I am happy though, on the upside, the flip side of this, I'm happy, Nyasha, that they have decided to change, right? Sack off what it looks like now. This is really important. As a Sir Lewis Hamilton fan, can't afford to waste any more time, Nyasha. We've already done 2 seasons now. That's sunk cost. Let's plan forward and move on to the next one. So selfishly, I'm kind of glad that he has done that, as bad as it looks to everyone all around.
Ooh, it's bad.
It's bad, isn't it? It's bad, bro.
You know what? And the thing is, bro, like, I just think when you're a team, how do I put this? When you're in a situation where, hold on, sorry. Could you hear the Formula One on in the background? I've just realised I've got the Bahrain Grand Prix on.
Bro, I didn't think it was you, I thought bro, it was the mods.
This whole time you've been hearing like, bro, I was like, what is this rubbish? It's the Dutch national anthem. I'm like, why?
I thought it was, I think that might have been a German,
I think it might be the Austrian after that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Unbelievable. And we're back with no background noise. So what is, I think, the big problem for me was, let's take it back a little bit. Let me ask you a question, Cam.
Go.
Me and you had many a friendly tussle, over the direction of the car. And I thought you were overly pessimistic. I thought you were almost, I'll get on to the other side of it, but I thought you were someone that was looking for the bad in every situation, right? And so we argued because I thought that the team had things under control. I guess at what point did you think that, at what point did you start to lose trust in the team?
Oh, brethren, get this now, Nyasha. To use your saying again, Nyasha, Lewis and Inshallah has been the strategy that they've been leveraging for the longest time, right? So it's only a matter of time until you're going to come unstuck. Only a matter of time, Nyasha, when the car isn't as good, that old Lewis and Inshallah strategy can't work again. And that's what we're seeing borne out now. They've been leading on that, depending on it for victories and championships for far too long. So I don't want to say that Toto's on fraud watch, because I feel like that's disingenuous.
That's a bit too far.
That's too far. That's too premature. But I've had the Mercedes discerning guy for a while now, bruv. For at least 12 months, 12 to 24 months, when they decided that they would play nicely and keep Valtteri Bottas in the car for the last 4 races. And ultimately, how did that work out? Again, that's one of the ones. Imola last year, dodgy strategies. That's another one. Failing to manage the driver hierarchy, as I'd argue they should. That's another one. And then on top of all that, you have this car that they're exhibiting this technical arrogance. Yeah, the side pod isn't. That's not the root cause of the problem, Mike Elliott said. Well, go on then, Mike. What are you saying now, bruv? You've got an ultimatum on the table. You need to go and fix the car. Letting go of key personnel as well, Nyasha. How many in this bucket of poor decisions? Go on then, Nyasha. Let's get into that. You told me, bruv.
Let's get into that.
Go on.
Because I've literally, and I know you caught the subtweet as well. There is Ferrari have just hired 2 Red Bull employees.
Why not? Of course.
Well, okay. But the flip side of that is saying Here we go. Motorsport Italy reports that Diego Tondi has taken over the role of head of vehicle concept at Ferrari. He is supported by 2 former Red Bull engineers who recently joined Ferrari. So the flip side of that is me saying to you, you cannot stop people leaving your team, bro. And I don't honestly, if someone comes to you, like I said, in a cost cap era and says, I'm paying you twice as much as you're on right now, you then have to pay them twice as much for them to stay. At least. And then who knows? Then Red Bull will pay you 3 times as much.
But Red Bull are subject to the cost cap as well, no? So how are they signing?
Well, they can split it. They can split that. Okay.
Nasha,
because powertrains doesn't even exist technically.
Oh, mate. Here's what I will say to you, Nasha. Let me pose the question back at you, bruv, because this is techie now as far as human resource, and this is your speciality.
It is.
But when I look at this in long form, here's what Mercedes have done, over the past 12, 24 months. James Vowles has left and gone to Williams. James Allison, apparently they've outsourced him. The more that I dig on that story, the more that I'm left one. I don't understand. How is Allison being outsourced to Ineos to go make boats or whatever
because
at a critical time?
Because he wants to retire.
So go on then. But then he's coming back now, yeah? But then he's coming back now.
Crisis management.
This is chaos. Now, so Dan Fallows, Adrian Newey Jr., Dan Fallows, worked with Adrian Newey, by the way, for 14 plus years. If there was a young Padawan that you could get in that was going to replicate the work of Adrian Newey, Dan Fallows was him allowed to go to Aston Martin. Eric Blondin left as well, gone Mercedes, by the way, and gone to Aston Martin. Bruv, it's not an ice. If you were to just pick one of those and say, well, you know what, James Allison had to go and he wanted to live his life and you can't. But it's a cacophony of human resource errors. And again, Nash, I mean, you've talked about this before. If you're going to let somebody leave, Eric Blondin is a brilliant case in point here. If you're going to let him leave and he wants to retire or he wants to go make boats at Ineos, cool. But it's a 6-pointer, when Eric Blondin leaves and goes to Aston Martin, because you lose that resource and that's now fighting against you. It's the reason why bloody Man United purchasing Van Persie from Arsenal was just the wrong thing to do.
Piss me off. Bro, now you want to piss me off. Is that where we are?
I needed to put it in terms, Nasha, that you understand, bruv. That's why. So I just think it's error after error, a cacophony of errors from Mercedes across the piece, Nasha, now. Across the piece. And it's not good enough, bruv. Let's frank and honest.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I think when you're the best team, people will get poached. And I don't think you can, probably was an element from some of those people like, I want a new challenge. I've been here, done that, won all the titles. I'm going to be given X amount of money by this team. I understand what you're saying. I think the end result, no matter how you look at it, the end result is you've got an exodus of personnel, right? And they've gone to but it wasn't, again, Toto says that, it was a small amount of people. So I guess you have to take his word with a pinch of salt. But
meanwhile, Marco's saying anywhere between 40 and 50 straight from Mercedes, big man.
So you've got two
somewhere
levels of pinch of salt, right? You've got the helmet Marco, like, he's exaggerating to make his point, and you've got the Toto, I'm minimizing the damage. So let's meet in the middle and say maybe it was between like 15 and 25, right?
Still a lot though, bruv.
It's a lot. It's
at a time when you can't afford to have that rate of churn on your human resource asset.
Okay, so enough of the doom and gloom. Your Mercedes, your Toto Wolff, what's the way back and what's the timeline for you?
Hand in my notice and let the next man take up. No, I'm joking.
Bruv,
I don't know, man. And you know what? I say that in jest, but Toto, like in researching this latest video of mine, I've done a bit of research on Toto, and Toto is absolutely deserving of every bit of credit that he gets, Over the last 10 plus years, he said something to the effect of advertising value of Mercedes when he joined was 60 million. You've seen that? 60 million now, or 2021, I think, when they did the interview, 4.5
Was that
billion.
the Lewis Hamilton contract interview?
That was it. Brother, I was watching and I couldn't even believe it. That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Absolutely bonkers. And all the good work that he's done with Lewis, the Tommy contract, the Hamilton project, Commission for all that good stuff. Bruv, absolutely worthy of praise. Like standing ovation and all that good stuff.
Okay, we'll give him a standing ovation. Hold on.
Let's go for it.
Big up Toto.
Let's go.
Not just a pretty face.
Bruv, he's got to get some credit here. But sadly, Nyasha, to put the doom and gloom spin in it, sports is a what have you done for me lately industry. And over the past 24 months, and he says it on the interview, one day might not be so good, yeah, and you're going to have to hold me to account. So here's what I am doing then, Toto. I'm going to take out your word and I'm holding you to account. The action, Nyasha, to your question, bruv, they've got to eat some humble pie technically and understand that they've backed the wrong concepts, which they have done. Tick. Hire some decent people, because you know there's only a handful of people in the world capable of building and conceptualizing a world championship winning Formula One car. One of them is Adrian Newey. Another one is Dan Fallows. Sadly, those two have slipped through the net. So you got to go and find. But Adrian Newey, though, bruv, you know what? He will never leave Red Bull because they've got him in a position where he has the flexibility. He's got the big multi-million-dollar contract. I would try, nevertheless, if I were Toto, get my elbows out from a human resource perspective and try and grab Adrian. Surely might not happen, bruv. Yeah, no, might be a hiding to nothing.
That's like me. That's like United saying,
trying to sign Messi.
No, let's go sign Messi. Fuck it. Let's go sign Messi. Like, do you know what I mean? There's no way it's going to happen. Apparently, he gets paid $10 million a year at Red Bull. You've got the Valkyrie project. Is that?
Yeah, the Aston Martin.
No,
it's not the Aston Martin. It's the Valkyrie. No. I know the hypercar that you're talking about. The Red Bull one.
Yeah, the Red Bull one. He's not going anywhere. Dan Fallows, that ship's probably sailed now. So I just think it's they've got to nurture from within, which probably means sticking with Mike Elliott with maybe more supervision, or going after.
It's not so. No, Nyasha, that's not. Sticking with Mike Elliott might not be the thing. Technical arrogance personified is that guy. When I see him standing up there talking about how there's no plan B and they don't need plan B, and if the side pod comes, it's not going to look like Red Bulls. He's got, mate, Mike Elliott is done for now. Get James back in, as I think they are going to do, crisis management, and design yourself a decent car for next year, because that's 2 years, Nyasha. 2 years of Lewis Hamilton's career. We're in a mire that sadly and ironically Fernando Alonso has been in for the past bloody 15 years or so.
Yeah.
A brilliant driver without the wheels requisite to go and smash out a championship. What are we doing, Nyasha? How sad is this, bruv?
It's really sad. I don't want to depress our listeners too much. So let me tell you what I think the route out is. Now we're fucked. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So I reckon we might have to sack off this year, you know.
Of course, bruv, that's what he said.
Like,
that's what he's saying.
We're going to have to sack off this year. But I guess you've still got a budget to spend. You can't carry over the budget. So I guess they'll be looking to bring things in place and upgrades, which are probably going to be with a view to putting it on the car next year and testing it now. We've got stable regulations, so I don't. I think the car will improve. I think where they're at now,
come away from the ledge. That's the tone. That's the tone of the conversation that we've been having for the past 12 months. The car will improve. We're not where we want to be, mate. Eventually, all these bloody buzzwords. I'm finished. They mean nothing to me now. They hold no water.
So okay, let's have the conversation.
Okay.
Everything I'm saying on this podcast to you, I've said to you.
Of course.
So I want to prerequisite all of this. I have likened your Twitter account to watching my friend get radical.
Let's go.
And I guess before the car was bad, I couldn't understand it. Now I do kind of get it. But I guess, are you saying, I guess the way that you're going on social media, do you, okay, I'm going to ask two questions. Do you see the value of trying to bring optimism into the situation? You know, again, as I'm saying that, what value is there in that? But I guess that's something I'll go on after. And two, have you noticed any change in your followers, interactions
Oh,
since like this year?
techie, getting techie, Mario. So, all right, to your first. Of course, there are. I liken a lot of Mercedes fans the way that they engage F1 meaningfully as. It's almost like it's a religion, right? You hear the word
Yeah.
keep being bandied about faith, keep the faith, stay hopeful, Cameron. Stop being so negative. Don't put that negative energy out there, etc., etc. And you know what? This is where I don't want to do the old the bigotry of low expectation thing. I don't want to tell people how they need to engage F1. But here's
Yeah,
me,
of course.
Nasha, in my old age, having watched F1 from the early 90s, yeah, the way I engage sports and F1, I want to know not only the what's. I'm not just interested in who's won. I'm interested in the whys. And if somebody's lost, like Lewis Hamilton, I'm interested in the what's as well as the whys and the hows at a lower level. So anytime I see testing as an example, and I can see the wake coming off the front tyres and it looks like chaos, and then Lewis and George are both talking about instability off the rear, then I'm going to connect the dots. 2 + 2 = 4. And I want to talk about it because I want to understand why Mercedes are still going down this road. And that will, of course, Nasha, every single day of the week, every minute of the day, piss people off. Absolutely. Because certain people are like I said, stay optimistic, Cameron. Where's the hope? Believe. There's no need to be a negative Nancy all the time. But again, I'm on the opposite side of the fence. If there's positive things to say, if we're talking about Lewis Hamilton and Singapore 18, I'm gushing. Watch that lap at least once a month to keep myself positive. If it's brilliant and it's positive, then I'm going to say that it's brilliant or positive. If it's an SH1T box and it's bad decisions and it's poor strategy and it's consecutive back-to-back, then in the same vein, Nasha, I'd be doing myself and my viewership a disservice if I didn't engage the sport meaningfully and honestly. Just because Lewis Hamilton is my driver, if he makes a mistake and he's not driving that well, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. And that's just the way that I'm rolling in 2023. Sadly, because some people won't like it, Nasha, and that's
No,
life.
I do get it. I do get it. I do think I think there's some things which will be happening at, let's say, Ferrari. Ferrari are in the shitter right now. Like, I mean, sorry, I haven't seen, like, I can't remember the relative stats from last year. But I mean, I was watching the race today, as you could tell, and and I think by the time Charles retired, he was like what 10 seconds off.
Oh, they're getting smushed as well, bruv. They are getting smushed.
14 seconds off Verstappen. Both Red Bulls had their engines turned down to about 10%.
Chaos.
Sounded like their engines were turned down so low. It sounded like a divorced dad of 3 falling asleep on the sofa snoring. That's what it sounded.
In hand.
It honestly, I don't even want to know what that engine looks like turned up, because I mean that is scary. I think the fact that they got caught cheating last year, and then what happens last? Well, I guess they did cheat, right? But everything that happened with the cost cap last year, everything that happened with AD21, I think I don't blame fans for wanting to cling to something positive, because what we're looking at right now is a situation where, you know what, if this is a sport that you're new to, if this is your first like sport that you've got into, I'm not saying that is the case with people, but it is with a lot of people. Like F1 is their main sport. There's been an influx of new fans. I don't think that can be doubted. It's hard to accept. Wait, hold on. We used to be the best team. We got cheated out of a championship in 21. We got trampled last year, but then the team who cheated in 21, it turns out that the budget that they spent during that year to procure that title was over what was necessary.
Chaos.
Now that team are even further ahead, and it doesn't matter what wind tunnel thing that they get this season, the car's already so far developed that they could probably stop developing it now. Who's making up 10 seconds?
Brethren, 10 seconds and the rest. It's chaos, bro.
Yeah, sorry, 24.
Bro.
It was like a pit stop ahead.
And the rest.
After taking a pit stop. After taking 2 pit stops,
I reckon I've got a second on the field, bro.
They've got a second.
In anger.
So I guess my point is, what I feel a sense of responsibility, I think. I do. I think I do feel a sense of responsibility to not ignore it, right? But to at least try and see the light through the darkness, or see the wood through the trees, because you've got when you've got a community that are probably struggling to kind of come to terms with what's happening. I don't want to shit on that, man. Like, I don't want to be the guy that shouted. But I was mad at you. I don't think I am anymore. I'm not. So I do understand where you're coming from, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
I can't not do it, Nyasha, because that's the way I've always ingested the sport, right? To come out and start being bloody, like, not shy, because if I say X, Y, and Z, that is ostensibly evidenceable, that's going to cheese off a whole heap of the community. I'm like, well, come on. And to be fair, I've always been, mate, we'll always have back and forth and we'll always have these arguments.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But there is a level of, this side at least, and for your end as well, Nyasha, there is a level of respect. I'm not going to proselytise you and tell you, oh no, Nyasha, you need to watch the sport in this way. You need to be more pessimistic and view it through more of a realistic lens. But on the other side of the fence, people can tell me, and it's part. I don't take offence to it, right? People can tell me to be more positive and not condescend me, but you know what I mean? Like, tell me that the way I'm viewing the sport is too negative and this, that, the other. And my shoulders are broad enough, Nyasha, I'll take it.
Does it hurt, though?
Does it hurt? You used to, Nyasha. I mean, you had the conversation 12 months ago. I used to cry and, like, mate, I was weeping into my pillow. The community's disowned me. Bounty killer, Uncle Tom settings, all this other stuff. But now, bruv, I'm old enough and grey enough and wise enough. And I suppose it helps by the fact that, sadly, for Lewis fans around the world, I wasn't a million miles away from the evidenceable truth.
Is it nice? Is it nice?
Bruv, I genuinely, honestly, Nyasha, I say this and it's not in jest at all. I was ready to eat humble pie. Q2, bruv. Let me tell you why. Q2 on the stream.
I saw you excited. You were excited. I saw you.
I was like, Q2 when George and Lewis were right there next to Max, I was like, I was wrong. Wrong. Let's go. Like, that's what I wanted to see. But again, sadly,
the engines up, bro.
Next level, right? Down the road again, bruv. But so it go.
And look, a quote here from Charles Leclerc saying, "It was impossible to find any positives from Ferrari's Bahrain Grand Prix after he retired with an engine problem. In his assessment, a second off Red Bull's pace.
Behave yourself, Charles. That's not the exam answer. Come on, take a leaf out of patient Saint Lewis Hamilton's book up until last week and toe the party line a bit. Just because Binotto's not there anymore, you can't shoot off brazy comments like that. That's not helping.
Let's talk about Ferrari, because I think and I guess the reason I had this whole conversation with you was to set up. In fact, before we get into that, here's some adverts. And if you don't want to listen to some adverts, here's an advert for our Patreon describing how you can listen ad-free. Hey! Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 podcast. Oh, wait, no. Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 Patreon. Yay! Too much? Okay, that was too much. Do you want more hard-hitting content?
Yeah, when you've got a lion biting into your shoulder, you're accepting I'm an antelope. Does that make sense?
A Discord channel where you can talk F1 with your friends, pre-sale links to all of our live events, and exclusive merch not available elsewhere. So, just like anything to do with Quickstop, we have something for everyone. So, click the link, take a look around, and if there's something there that tickles your fancy, feel free to support us. And from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate all the support, whether it's in the Patreon, in the YouTube comments, Twitter, anywhere. You guys are so supportive, and this will allow us to just go to the next level and be able to invest into the platform to bring you even more sick content. So from Tandy and I, thank you. And remember, keep it on the black stuff. Right. So, I think we're in the middle of F1, not in the middle of silly season, sorry, but the hyperbole coming out around Mercedes now, it feels like a crisis. I don't think they've helped themselves with this letter to the fans. I'm not going to read it all because it's fucking long. Like, it's long. But I am going to read the first paragraph. A letter to the fans. To all our fans. Bahrain hurt. It hurt each one of us, who went into every season determined to fight for world championships. It hurt the team as a whole after pouring so much hard work into a car that hasn't met our expectations. We know it hurt you, our fans, too. Your passion and support are so important in driving us forward. And we know that we feel that... Stop laughing. What's wrong with you, bro? The situation we face right now isn't one any of us wanted, but it's the one we have. That's the reality of it. And the simple questions are, what can we do about it? And what will we do about it? I mean, honestly, it's a madness. What I didn't like, this part at the end is a madness. Are you ready to join us for the fight back? If not, then there are no hard feelings. If yes, then let's do it. Bridget! What the fuck have I got to do with this car? I'm sorry. I'm like, honest to God, yeah. If you're doing this after one race and you're asking me, and you know, yeah, these man think I can't see them. I'm from Shinleybury Cottages, Hertfordshire. I invented passive-aggressive messages, okay? I am the king of it. You cannot tell me that is not Mercedes saying, hey, we're sorry, get off our dick.
Unbelievable, bruv.
What are your thoughts on that now? I could not believe it.
Welcome to the club, Nyasha. The tone is right. Your tone is perfect as a response for that nonsense. It's chaos, bro. The team's turned soft, as Mama Cameron would say. Soft.
Personal soft.
Soft. That's not the way. That's, again, though, Nyasha, link it back to everything that I've been saying, right? It's the same thing. All of these things are sat very firmly in the same family. That's soft, bruv. What are we talking about? Mea culpa. There's a really good article. I'm going to try and bring it up now and read you a couple of bits from it. Motorsport
one. I saw the headline.
Brethren, read that article. There's a couple of bits on there. He's just
Put it in the chat, please.
Yeah, he's just killing them, man. Absolutely nailing them. It's to be too self-deprecating and not serious for too long is detrimental to your psyche, right? You become and assume the stature of a loser in perpetuity. Be serious, Mercedes. What are you? What's this got to do? Like Nyasha said, don't apologise to me. Apologise to Lewis and George for providing me with an SH1T box for the second season straight. Apologise to them. What are we doing here?
The thing is, they've already apologised.
So fix the car then. That's the next action. After that, fix the car.
I think the problem is, though, Cam, I don't know if everything's all right or everything's been made into a mountain out of a molehill, sorry.
Go on, Nyasha. Do tell. I'm keen.
Lewis saying that Lewis saying finally after a year in a race of like dealing with this car's a bag of shit. They didn't listen to me. I've been driving for 15 years. I know what a car needs, and I wasn't listened to.
That's right.
I don't think I've heard Lewis chuck his team under the bus like that. For a minute, and you know that is frustration. So you've got Lewis saying that. You've got George saying Red Bull are going to win every single race this year, which is mad. He shouldn't have said that. You've got Toto saying the car needs to change. After that, you've got rumours leaking. Now, we don't know how true these are. Rumours of rumours. That essentially Mike Elliott was told, look, bruv, change this car or you're sacked, basically. This is not the team we were looking at in 2020.
Correct.
Right? Okay, this is not the all-conquering, all-beating, smooth-oiled machine, Toto going on CEO of a diary of a CEO or whatever. No, wasn't he? I remember there was an article of Andrew Benson, where he was, there's a no-blame culture here. People have accountability, whatever. Some people need to start getting blamed. But everything around Mercedes feels like a bit of chaos. But if they just battened down the hatches and just said nothing, and this is another thing as well, which I notice about some F1 fans. I watch football. Yeah. If you follow any other sports team, yeah, when things are bad, do you know what they do? They go quiet. Like the club
exactly.
They go quiet.
Because that's what you need to do, Nyasha.
There's nothing on social media. There's nothing like there'll be less training pics because then people can't comment like, oh, they're not even working out hard. There'll be less interviews, less content coming out. I know people who run Arsenal social media because I make content for them, obviously.
Gunshots.
And I'll give myself a little gunshot for that. You know what? Yeah, sometimes people need to respect who I am. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
Let's go.
But anyway, they say they have never been this busy in their life. The fans are they are insatiable for content because we're top of the league. It's never been this good for 20 years. They have to document everything. They need to feed the streets. When things are going bad, like it's a madness. Here's a quote. The climate at Mercedes can be shaped by an ultimatum to the team's technical director, who is tasked with reviving the project in progress. I'm saying all of this to say, why the fuck did that team release that statement? I don't, because there's people that are like, what do you want them to do?
Oh
like,
my God.
And I get it. I do get it, because
Time for talk is long gone.
But you know what it is, yeah? You know what it is? Mercedes, they're there. They're on social media. I don't know who's running that account, but they're acting like they're everyone's best friend. They're loving it when everyone's like, admin. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they're liking shady tweets of other teams. They're joining in the prayer spaces. They're doing this, that, and the other. They're too involved.
That's not it, Nyasha.
And now everyone feels comfortable enough to absolutely pelt them and tell them, like, what the fuck is going on? Admin.
Bro,
like, honestly.
Nyasha, that's not the move of a serious organisation, man. I'm old school like you, Nyasha, in that sense. When it's go time, talking doesn't need to happen. When the back's up against the wall, the time for talking is done. The time for action is now. And when I saw that, I was like, well, soft. It epitomised softness for me. And again, but that's what the organisation's become, Nyasha. We've been having these conversations for months now. Everything's far too nice. Toto Wolff response to the Monza incident that could have killed Sir Lewis Hamilton. Everything is far too bloody soft, Nyasha, and I am done.
I will say,
go on,
after you. No,
I was gonna read out this piece from the Motorsport article. Definitely go and read that, man. Blind, unwavering loyalty to the wrong path and staunch belief that it is the correct course of action cannot lead to success. Mercedes has not fallen into that inertia. It has openly admitted once in the spotlight to losing its religion with its current car concept. That's a starting point for it to turn around the ship and find the right way to dry land, and it will affect how it considers to update the path over the course of the season. There's a couple of different gems from there, bro, but he's not nice. He's not nice, and he talks about the soft underbelly that they're starting to show on social media. You think Red Bull are putting out that? Not that we need to be like them. That's not where I'm going with this.
I was going to say.
I preempted it, prefaced that one straight away. Checkmate one time, Queen sacrifice. Not that we need to be like them, but they are a serious organisation from head to toe. Nyasha, from head to toe, they're all about advantage and are all about squeezing that lemon and margins and pushing. You heard Christian Horner talk about the attack is the best form of defence, and we're 10/10ths all the time. I don't want us to be like that as Mercedes. I don't want us to, but I want to see more of that, the ability to push when we have our backs up against the wall. Because what I'm seeing in that bloody tweet, Nyasha, makes me throw up in my mouth, bro. I'll be honest with you, man. Makes me throw up in my mouth. Didn't like it.
Honestly, I think they made everything worse. I'm not gonna lie. This line pissed me off. Third, we will be calling on each one of you to power us to the front.
What are you talking about, man? I've had enough, Nyasha. Don't even read out the rest, bruv. Nah, I've had enough. What are we doing? This is the thing that I meant to read out from my guy that's more applicable. Here's what Mercedes are doing. Again, motorsport.com. Self-reflection is valuable, but self-flagellation is not. Mercedes appears at this moment in time too keen to get in first and make a public showing of beating itself up. For the people working within to bridge the gap to leading teams and to take the team back to the top, it probably doesn't feel fantastic to have that pressure loaded on by open displays of masochism. Bloody Nora. Having high expectations of oneself is a valuable attribute in highly competitive sport, but sometimes sticking to the doable, passable thesis is a good one. Mate, they've got to be better than that. It's not good enough. Too much bloody woe is me. Just
this
fix the car, man.
Man. Oh, Mercedes.
It's slipping away from me.
Never been more appropriate than today, Nyasha. Lewis is 38 years old, bruv.
Well,
Lewis is
speaking
38 years old.
What I wanted to get on to, apparently this was also fueled by rumours of Lewis to Ferrari. I am not putting any credence into these rumors whatsoever. I think every time. Oh, Cam, I can see your face.
Nah. I'm with you. I'm with you on
Yeah,
this.
there's more chance. And let me ask you this:
Okay.
is there more chance of Lewis Hamilton retiring early? Not early, but earlier than planned. Obviously, there was the Sky Sports lie detector test where Lewis said, I'm going to stay until I get no, they asked him, are you going to stay until you get an eighth? And he said yes. And you tell him the truth, those things you can't hold up in court, but that's fine. But Lewis said he's going to stay. Do you think that he could cut his time short in the sport if the car doesn't get better? Or do you think there's more chance of him joining Ferrari?
I think there's more chance of him cutting time short than joining Ferrari. I just think Ferrari, again, listening to that interview, Nyasha, in research, he talks a lot about legacy.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about impacting favourably on diversity and leaving that as his that will be the memory of Lewis, right? More than even the racing and the 7 times or 8 times, depending on who you're talking to. I don't think he'll want to leave Ferrari as a circumstance and go over to the Scuderia Ferrari in Maranello and embrace something that he was running away from, a type of culture and circumstance that he was so keen to get away from in McLaren. Could the Tommy deal happen at Ferrari? Could he talk so openly about social injustice? I mean, Ferrari are having a go at Frederick Vasseur for taking a plane, for sharing one with Toto Wolff. So suffocating are they of their employees? So I just think it's a totally different circumstance, and I don't think Lewis would be. Although on many occasions he has eulogised about driving for Ferrari. He said, quote, I don't know why that never happened because I was keen to go over there. The red car, the passion, the fans were saying, being there Ferrari and all this other stuff. He wanted to go there at one time in his life. I'm not sure whether 2023. I think that train's gone, bruv. Left the station.
I do think I think it has left. 1,000,000%. I think it's left. I think if you look at how Charles's mental health is circling the drain,
God,
this guy is crying in that car every 2 business weeks.
But
he is.
Wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you be, Nyasha? Bruv, they're costing him. Let me just tell you this very quickly. I got my geek on the other day, man, and did a cheeky waterfall showing how many points he lost. Because I thought Charles lost more points than he did last year. I blame Charles for his mistakes. For a total of 38 points, if you account for the points that Charles lost and the points that Max gained from Charles' mistakes. France and Imola predominantly. 140 fights. Spain. Was there Spain? Did he do something in Spain?
Oh, was that France? Sorry, it was France. It was France.
Yeah.
Sorry.
France, no! 140 points Ferrari have cost him, bruv, in terms of dodgy strategies a la Silverstone, where they didn't even put him on the soft compound tire. 140 points. So it is Ferrari then? Ferrari are costing Charles Leclerc more than Charles Leclerc costing Ferrari. I'd be pissed and so sad for the chap that it's the same thing. They couldn't even wait one race to start screwing over again with reliability issues. I feel sad for him, man. Generational talent that is Charlie. He might need to move to to Mercedes.
I don't think so.
Where does he go, Nyasha?
Well,
Red Bull wouldn't have him.
Red Bull wouldn't have him. What? Him and Max in the same team? With completely different driving styles.
But they get on so well, Nyasha. They're good friends. They know each other from childhood and have raced. And yeah, no, I say that in jest.
Oh, good. I would love it. I wouldn't love it. And the thing is, I can't even joke about it.
You wouldn't like it? See them in the same car?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't like it for Lewis. And this is the thing. Mario put a question in there, what if Lewis was to break Michael's record at Ferrari?
Oh my God, chaos!
Do you know what I mean? What does that look like? You know, like that doesn't look wholly accepted. It's not.
They'd do one of those ones like with Eddie Irvine where they'd sabotage him, wouldn't they? When it got to the
Wow.
crook.
Like honestly, I don't think that Ferrari want that. To be honest, I don't know. It will be interesting. I know that look, Ferrari fans in general are thirsty for another title. It's been what are we on now, 16 years, 17 years now, since 2007. Like they're thirsty for a title, and I do believe that. Sorry, apologies. My CEO's handy just texted me. I just needed to make sure that I was doing everything right. So, so we need to be mindful of that. But also, would I want Lewis to go into an environment where, like, their fans, but if their fans were cheering on with Max during 2021, bro, like, we know what happens with black football players out in Italy as well. Like, they don't, and they've booed him. They've given him the monkey noises. Like, I don't think he wants that. I don't think he wants that at all. And I honestly, he's gonna sign a new contract at some point. I think the worse they get, the more O's they're probably gonna have to put down on it. To be honest, and then we'll see. I don't know.
But Nash, let me ask you about that quickly, yeah. Because again, I'm gonna use the analogy on football. I always feel like it's a bit dicey when a manager a la Toto Wolff comes out and says something to the effect of, don't stress about the contract. As soon as we get to the first Grand Prix, it will have been signed already. And then, Nyasha, we get to the first Grand Prix and the contract's not signed yet. So what do you attribute to the contract, the delaying contract terms? Why has it not been signed if it's not
Lewis
Ferrari?
has said several times.
Or somebody else.
Lewis has said several times, you know, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. I've got no intention of leaving. I'm going to be here for a very long time. That was said, you know, he said that quite a lot that weekend. So I don't have any doubt that he's going to stay. Look, his contract expired after winning a 7th world title, I think.
True.
So, I know, if it could expire after everything going amazingly well, I guess the flip side of that is, why would it if it was going bad? But you know, I just don't think. I think it would be a knee-jerk reaction to leave the team that you've basically driven for your entire career, essentially, like engine manufacturer anyway, to chance it at Maranello.
No, it's techie, Nasha.
The other one is people are saying go back to McLaren.
No, I locked that one off. That one's
dead.
That one's long to drive that unpredictable vehicle. No, thanks, Lee. But I will say this, bruv. If you're going to play devil's advocate for a second, and I do like a bit of that sometimes.
I know it's a bit of you, bruv.
Angel's advocate. For the Ferrari thing, I think you can. I can make arguments, Nasha, and here's why. Lewis has talked about wanting to stay at Mercedes because of a couple of reasons. Right, he cited on that same interview that we just talked about, a lack of technical arrogance. That's the first one. He's also talked about when I feed back, they listen and amend and bait those amendments into the car. That hasn't happened this year. He talked about the personnel and how intelligent they were and adaptable. James has gone, or he's coming back. Flipping Eric Blondin has gone. Dan Fallows they missed. So that's also changed. Nasha, McLaren, let's not forget, when he moved from McLaren, I didn't see that coming. Nasha, I know you didn't see that coming. Eddie Jordan, the chat fella that was reported, it was the only fella that saw that coming in the whole of the F1 journalistic sphere. Nobody saw that coming. Everybody thought that was going to be a stupid move. So let's not make out like Lewis doesn't have a joker in his hand to play, nor has he ever played one, because he did do exactly that at McLaren. Different time, but there is a precedent set there, Nasha.
Oh, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I would liken that to playing the lottery twice and thinking that you're going to win both times. I'm not going to lie.
Fair.
I do hear what you're saying. I fundamentally hear it, and you're making a more stellar case than what I've heard, which is basically he just needs to get the fuck out of there and get into something else. I understand, but like, do you know what I mean? Lightning can't strike twice. Look what Fernando Alonso's done.
Oh, mate, that's
Like,
doesn't work out still. He's made some bad decisions there.
It cannot work out, and then you're stuck in Ferrari.
But Nyasha, at this stage of his career, what has he got to lose? What's he got to lose? All of the goodwill, all of the things that we talked about, the relationship with Toto, but he's not going to be here another. It's not a long term move in the same way McLaren to Mercedes was. Maybe another 5 years max, in my humble opinion. You reckon he'll go longer than 5 years?
Alonso's 42.
Yeah, so that's 3 years diff. I don't think he'll go 38, 41A. I don't think he'll. What has he got to lose, Nyasha? I don't know. I can't even, because, all right, Mercedes perspective, how long is it going to take if, let's assume that they can develop a car capable of winning championship, how long is that going to take, Nyasha? How long?
1 season.
1 season.
1 season.
Mr. Optimism over here, drinking the Mercedes Kool-Aid yet again. So you're telling me, Nyasha, that this time next year, 2026, bro, at the earliest when the new regs come in, and again, that's precedent, right? This isn't me just riffing. This is me basing it upon new rules and regs and how they've impacted the grid in history. This is always the way. Always the way, bruv. But I don't know.
Well, look, we're back. Also, I'm going to just say thank you if you've made it this far. Make sure you're giving this video a like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure to give us a 5-star review. The mission is to get to 500 reviews on Spotify this year, so if you can really help us out, that would be super appreciated. Apple reviews as well. I need to read out the reviews because they're so nice. Like, I love the reviews, so thank you so much to everyone who leaves a review. Cam, back to you.
Go for it.
I want to say your devil's advocate was fine, right? Like, what does he have to lose? What does he have to lose? What does he have to lose, right? Everything's kind of changed. And I was saying, lightning can strike twice. It's like asking for lightning to strike twice. I think Lewis, I think the story is greater of him staying at Mercedes. In his mind, I think the story of him, almost like Schumacher, I mean, he kind of did it, but in a shorter time span, right? But almost saying, like, one-man team, essentially, for like the last 10 years plus now. The team went through a bad patch, and he was able to lead them out. My issue with that, Lewis Hamilton should not be leading that team.
Oof.
And it does.
Why not?
Why not? Because he's a driver. Like, he should be leading that team in inspiration, in whatever, right? But we saw what it was like for Seb Vettel at Ferrari, having to manage from inside the cockpit. I think we saw it at points last season. I won't lie to you. We're about to go back to Saudi Arabia. That whole pit-in incident where he wasn't sure whether to come in or not. The situation with the Russian Grand Prix in 2020, even wasn't it 2020?
I can't remember.
Where he parked it. We tried to do a start. I think it was 2020, where he tried to do a practice start in the pit lane, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, you can do that." And I think this has led to a distrust between him and the team, and I think that distrust is now potentially blown up with what he was saying the other day. But I do think that he thinks there's greater value in getting that relationship and kind of going for phase 2, bringing the team back to competition and winning with the same team, than going to Ferrari. He's going to have to do the same thing there anyway. Why not just do it at the team that you're currently at? There's nothing to... Ferrari have not shown anything to show that they are essentially... What you're telling me, that if you're Lewis Hamilton, would you rather be in a Ferrari or Mercedes right now? 2021. Like, no, 2023. Cameron, if you are Lewis Hamilton, would you rather be in a Mercedes or Ferrari?
Are you asking me that question really, Nyasha? This is This is slam dunk. What to win? So
No.
we're coming at it from just for clarity. We want to win races. That's what we're trying to do.
I'm saying, okay, if you had to sign a long-term contract with one team, Mercedes or Ferrari, who would it be?
2023, bro. Scuderia Ferrari straight away, right away, Nyasha. Here's why, bruv. Listen, all the other stuff, of course, Mercedes as a team, the brand, the arc of their, like, the story to come back again. Yeah, that's all cool, yeah. But ultimately, Lewis is here to win races. Let's not forget that, yeah. Hamilton Commission, Project 4, all that other good stuff is fantastic. But Lewis at core, and my guy Peter Wins had to remind me of this, Lewis at core is a racer, and he's here to win races and win championships. Mercedes haven't given him wheels sufficient to do that, yeah. So already, if you know anything about Lewis wants to win, bruv. He wants to win. So he's gonna be thinking to himself, even if he does ultimately put pen to paper with Mercedes, it's a decision to make, because for all of that other noise, Nyasha, here's the bottom line. If you want to win races, yeah. If you want to win races and you want to win championships, and you have the option to drive in a Mercedes or a Ferrari, W14 or the SF175, it's a no-brainer. Nyasha, or SF23 as they're calling it. It's a no-brainer. It's not even close, Nyasha. That car's fast. Reliability, dodginess.
It's faster. Still 24 seconds off the pace. So what are we doing here? You want to fight for third, essentially? Do you want to fight for
over seventh?
Fifth.
Every day of the week, Nyasha. Every day of the week, mate, I want to fight from third.
He wants to win. Yeah. If you're not first,
which number is
last.
closer to? Behave yourself, Nyasha. Which number is closer to 1, 3 or 7?
3 or 5. Let's not 3 or 5. Okay, this is how you start. These are the stats that you're bringing to me, telling me that the Red Bull was quicker wasn't quicker in 21.
5.
3 or 5
with Charles Leclerc dropping out. Where would he have been without Charles Leclerc dropping out?
In a Ferrari, which is unreliable.
This is what I'm saying. But Nyasha, remember Toto and Christian Horner were going back and forth. I want to say at the start of last season.
Yeah.
And the debate went something like this. Would you rather have a fast car that's unreliable or a reliable car that's not fast? Which of those problems is easy to solve for? Every single day of the week, you want a fast car in 2023 where the rules are as they are and you can't develop performance into that car before 2026. Give me the Scuderia Ferrari car every single time, and Lewis will be thinking the same thing, big man, because it's long. Go back, take a sabbatical, Lewis, and come back in 2026 and Mercedes might have something there might, but this is what we thought. Nyasha,
no thanks. No thanks. That's bad for business. So Cam, a lot of pressure on Lewis Hamilton says, look, I feel like
there's something else I wanted to say about this, Nyasha, before. I think you might touch on it, but this is really important. Yeah. This is me doing my mea culpa and writing my letter of confession. In my conversation with Peter, he said it's really important to know, and you just alluded to it really eloquently just there, Nyasha. It's important to know, if you're comparing and contrasting, Lewis as a racing slate isn't clean, right? Because he's got so many other bloody balls that he's juggling right now in Mercedes in the shitbox, in all these other commitments outside of the car, in Toto Wolff and the dynamic, in James Allison coming back. Whereas Max Verstappen, he's just driving the car, bro.
I don't want to get into this, no.
That's all that he's got. That's all that. So in that sense, Lewis deserves some credit, because it's very different circumstance that he is, bruv. It's a very different circumstance that he's dealing with, and I don't know. He has much less CPU as versus a Max or a Checo Perez, because he's juggling so many different. Hence why it was only a matter of time till he's going to pull down the patron saint Lewis Hamilton mask and tell the team about themselves, right? Like had to expect it, man. So Lewis absolutely deserves some credit in that sense. And I haven't always been that forthcoming with that credit. My guy Peter Windsor had to check me. Put me in check. Tell me what for.
I'm glad he did. I didn't know where you were going with that one, and I was like, they made me have to get the shorty out. I mean, come on.
Had to be said.
The Fernando Alonso hype train is well. And by the way, was there like a memo sent round to everyone to call this the Fernando Alonso hype train? Because I don't think I've heard the word hype train as much as I have in the last 2 weeks. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm sick of it. But hype train is up. Everyone's obviously, it's either get on board or get left behind. Me personally, I'm going to get left behind. I'm not getting on board. I don't doubt Alonso is a great driver. I think we've had the debate around, can you, I mean, look, this is something me and you talk about a lot of the time with Max Verstappen, right? Can you divorce the driver from the personality? And I think obviously you can, and I can respect Fernando Alonso's talent, but I would say that I would rather not have to spend time on my platform, which I'm running as a business, to talk well about Alonso. But I can acknowledge it. Someone who doesn't mind talking well about Alonso is baby girl, Naomi Schiff, who has said, to paraphrase, because let me tell you, I'm not reading all of this, but Naomi Schiff has said, when you say if they all had equal equipment, who will come out on top? Obviously, the equipment is not exactly the same between the teams we're talking about, and the drivers we're talking about, and the battle we want to see who's going to outsmart who on track. Blah 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 blah. She says it's going to be Alonso because of his temperament. He's playing chess. He's always 3 steps ahead. And that's everything in that, and that's just in everything he's thinking about when he's in the car. He knows where to put the car. He knows exactly where to make the moves. He knows exactly how to defend. He spent 2 decades in the sport, so he's collected an insane amount of experience, which obviously is the most important thing, as time trumps everything else. Naomi caught a bit of flack for this, so let's just talk about the comment in general. Do you, in your opinion, equal machinery, Lewis, Max, Alonso, who comes out on top?
This is chaos, bro.
I need to get in here. I need to get a little like countdown counter.
Oh, God. It's chaos, big man. Not Alonso. Yeah. Not Alonso. That's all I will say. That not Alonso, bro. I think Alonso's problem for me, as he's a brilliant driver, top 3, absolutely. He's very, very good in it. His gift has always been race stewardship and race awareness in real time, right? Makes these crazy decisions and crazy reads. I had a conversation with some pit crew guys way back in the day, and they said he just knows everything in the car, the splits in front, the splits behind, when he's coming in, like who's overtaken who behind. Like, he's just got this ridiculous level of race IQ that most of the other drivers aren't even near. I will give him that. His weakness, though, has always been qualifying, right? He should have done better in qualifying at Bahrain, bruv. His lap was untidy. But again, his driving style speaks to maximising outcomes on race stints rather than one lap pace. And I think that's where ultimately, sadly for him and sadly for Naomi in her hot take, that's where you would always fall down in equal machinery, because in 2023, you damn sure can't afford to drop. If there were 3 bods that you're racing, or 2 other bods that you're racing, you can't afford to concede qualifying position to Lewis, and you damn sure can't afford to cede qualifying position to Max and think you're going to win a championship. I think she's a bit off in that sense, and she hasn't quite considered the nuance of the question that she's addressing.
In that sense. Mario, can you see if you can find Max Verstappen's pole percentage, please? Max Verstappen is not a good qualifier. I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
A better or worse qualifying than
I think he's
Alonso?
better than Alonso probably, but that bar's quite
There
low.
you go, then.
I think.
Better or worse than Lewis?
Crazy. What do you
Qualifier.
mean? Cameron, come
Nasha.
on!
Oh, we're gonna
Come on!
Look,
No,
Nasha.
because Cameron, no. That's not what we're going to do, okay? I've given you so much room today, okay? And you've actually been okay, but this I'm not going to do. This I am not going to do. Cameron.
Just tell me why quickly, before you move on. Tell me
Because
why
he's
he's a better
smoked all of
qualifier.
his teammates in qualifying. Smoked them all. Smoked them all. 100 plus. Okay? Valtteri Bottas, someone who probably fared as well against Lewis qualifying wise as Rosberg. Like, we're talking like, I'm sorry, like, bro, he is over one lap in machinery where he's not data collecting, whatever. He is smoking his teammate in the qualifying chart. Smoking them. Don't give me Checo Perez, please. Checo Perez might be, out of the top 6 drivers on the grid, he might be the worst qualifiers out of them.
You know what, Nasha?
So I don't even want to compare.
Let me drill
them
down
to.
on some. Let me drill down on something that you've just said. I think in terms you said that over one lap, Lewis is smoking everybody
in the qualifying lap.
If it's in the race, I'm
qualifying,
with you,
no.
bro. No, Bregin, it's a different.
Max
it's a different
Verstappen, how many
equation.
poles did
Nasha,
Max Verstappen bottle last year? How is Charles Leclerc getting 9 pole positions on you last season? That is a joke.
Yeah, because he had the quicker car, didn't he? In
Cameron, come on. No.
And to be fair, Charles might be the best qualifier of them all. To be fair,
Again.
that's Charles' thing. You're not having that. Not better than Lewis.
I'm not having that. I'm not
Fair
having
play.
that.
Fair play.
103
I'll give
poles. What do you
30.
want from him?
But bruv, he's been. Oh,
What do you want from him?
you know what, bruv? I will give it to you. You can have it, bruv. It's hard to evidence, right? But I think people misread Lewis's strengths in 2023 and say that of course he's super quick, bruv, but his strengths over the past 5 years haven't been qualifying necessarily. Okay, so he's beat Bottas, but I'd beat Bottas in that bloody car. It's Bottas. Like, what are we doing here? I just think that Lewis's strengths over the past 5 years, race pace, bruv. That's where he's blitzing the whole of them.
100%.
Nobody's not touching him there. Nobody's not touching him in that. And I'll go to the grave with that 100% confidence. But qualifying,
He only has 21 pole positions.
who, Max?
Yeah.
And what's that got to do with the price of that?
Do you not think it should be more? 7 poles last year, 15 wins. 16 pole to wins. I'm assuming that's pole position to victory to wins. So
I think what you're speaking to there, Nasha, is the fact that, and we can agree on this, I'm sure, Ferrari, in qualifying trim especially, were quicker than Red Bull. And again, of course, in the race, Red Bull would do their due diligence and their research and nailed a lot of them in race trim. But in quali trim, we know, Nasha, the F175 was the premier machine, hence why I think Lewis will be looking at this thinking, you know what, Maranello, don't know, man. It might be the destiny. Speculation and conjecture. I digress.
I think I would die a little bit if he went there. I'm not gonna lie.
Why? Be doing for him.
No,
bruv.
I do understand. I do
Eighth.
understand it, but it's
You just think of Lewis and
yeah.
Mercedes
I
as
think
one
that's
now, right?
I think that's the thing. They are one. Because then where does Charles go?
I don't think they'll be getting rid of Charles. It's
Well,
Carlos.
yeah, okay, but where does Charles go when he gets smoked by Lewis? Like, who do you think comes out on top? Charles Leclerc or Lewis Hamilton? I need to test.
Lewis is much
I need
faster.
to test where you
Lewis
are.
is much
with
faster in
this.
race pace. Nah, Lewis has got race pace over Charles, but Charles will cause him problems. Charles is a qualifying Donny. a proper qualifying Don Gargan. And in 2023, they talk all this stuff about overtaking, but I still think qualifying, bruv, putting it on pole again. If we're talking about CPU and the numbers of other balls that you need to juggle, you know, you're just on pole, and it's like, I just need to get this off the line, a decent launch, make it into turn one first, finish the first lap on first, and then I can control this. Like, I don't know. I think it's hard, man. Charles will cause Lewis problems, bruv. I'll say that much, particularly in qualifying. Maybe not so much on the race, but I don't know. You're not having it. Don't believe in it.
I don't think I'm having it. No. No, he will cause him problems. Like anyone, like George caused Lewis problems. Didn't George qualify ahead of Lewis at Bahrain? So, you know, that.
And what's
that's not
go
going.
on.
Well, don't talk. We can start talking about price of bread again if you want. Because he did say he was setting up his car for the race, and if you look at their race pace, you know, George fried his tyres trying to get past Lewis in the first stint, and then subsequently, you know, he was in a situation where he was not able to really affect the race or affect Lewis, and I think that's yeah. I just don't think that's. I don't think.
Goodwill knowledge.
Yeah, but anyway, before we go, I do want to on these Alonso comments. What's your opinion on Naomi Schiff?
Oh, Nyasha. Oh, cried out loud.
I'll answer it honestly as well. But I think there's a conversation.
Who's going first then? Go for it, and then I'll follow.
She is stunning. Okay, I have to just get that off my chest. She is something special. Oh my God. Back to the serious business. I think Naomi is damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. In that, I'll give you like an example, right? My first job in London, I worked somewhere, and my boss, this was around like 2015, 2016, when Jeremy Corbyn had just come into the Labour Party. For reference, Jeremy Corbyn is a socialist, and was deeply unpopular with people who are maybe more right-leaning and even more centrally leaning in politics. I remember my boss, at that time I was an active member of the Labour Party. I remember at that time my boss going in on Jeremy Corbyn. Oh my God, the things he was saying about Jeremy Corbyn were disgusting. And it was my first job, and I just had to eat that. And then, did I then say things about Corbyn? Probably not. But I would just be there like, oh yeah, I guess so. I say this to say this. I think Naomi Schiff is damned if she toes the party line and tries to make out that she's not just a diversity hire who's going to support Lewis Hamilton in anything he does and say that Lewis Hamilton is the best because, you know, people will just kind of throw the race card at her, I want to say. But then she's also damned if she... I can't remember what the first part was. But she's damned if she... I think if she does what she's doing now, she then gets criticised by black people for being like, you're like our representation, and you're constantly kind of downplaying things that happen to Lewis. You're constantly praising Max. You're constantly praising Alonso. I think the expectation on her to be... I think everyone's... Honestly, if I'm being honest, I think everyone's projecting onto her what they want her to be. And I think the sooner people realise not all skin folk are kinfolk, and you just have to charge that one to the game, then I think everyone will be easier. What I don't get is like we talked about it today, and I thought it was all good fun. And then there was like, look, I'm not singling out these people in like a negative way. You know, we all have our opinions, whatever. But like immediately, there was loads of stuff about, you know, calling her. I think someone called her a bed wench. Someone was like, you know, constantly. I think there was 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 comments I got about the fact that she's got a white partner. So how can we trust her on this? And I'm just like, when are we ever bringing people's partners into like anything? Like
that's chaos.
Lewis Hamilton was banging. I'm sure banging on IG honeys that were whiter than the finest Peruvian flake at one point. Don't stop him being the greatest of all time. I just don't understand. So I don't know. I think as a black woman, she gets hyper scrutinized, and I think people project onto her. But I guess I'll throw it back onto you. Do you think that if you're in that position, and I guess this kind of comes roundly back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast. Look, let me tell you now, I'm good at this shit. I'm good at this. Do you have a responsibility if you're in a position to not cater to a demographic, but if you know that you are someone in a position with a platform from a marginalized community, do you have a duty to almost appease? I don't want to say appease because that sounds like you don't want to do it. But do you have a responsibility to almost to champion parts of that community and I guess the stakeholders or stakeholdings of that community as much as possible?
Flipping Nora Nash, it's too late for these hard hitting verbally like this is peak, man. Okay, look, let me talk to my relationship with Naomi first. I'm not a big Naomi fan. I'm not a big Naomi fan. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say that she of course she's qualified to be an analyst with Simon and Ted on there who've never turned the wheel in anger in their life. Of course she's qualified. Don't question her real knowledge. But I just think, ironically, I'm not sure that I like the cut of her jib when she talks to Lewis. I'm not sure I like the cut of her jib when she talks about Lewis. Ironically, says Cameron F1.
Expound on that. No, I'm going to have to ask you to expound on that. Because I agree.
She goes hard, bruv. She goes hard. I feel like she goes harder on Lewis than she does Max and again,
she
this
grew
is
up
all
with
criticism
Max, right?
that been levelled at me. Right? Did she? Oh, look at this now. So that makes more sense now that you give me the context. I did not realise this.
There was some kind of overlap.
I did not know this.
I could be wrong, but I think.
I did not know this.
Mario, if you could just look that up, please, that'd be awesome. Like,
and that would make a lot of sense then, Nyasha. But I just feel like, and I suppose her brand of punditry, and this is all subjective, right? But her brand of punditry and like kind of, I don't know. And I should really like the first black woman pundit in F1, shouldn't I? But something about, I'm not going to like kill her. Go for it, Nyasha. Live on air.
No, because we need to be careful because I can't be.
Of course.
Do you think she?
Of course.
Okay, I guess going back to my original point, do you think that she plays up to the platform that she's on in order to be able to? Do you think it's a sincere thing? I'm going to ask you. Do you think she's a hater, or do you think that she is playing up to keep the lights on and to keep that contract going?
I don't think she's playing up, Nyasha. I don't think she's playing up. Here's why I don't think she's playing up. As a like-for-like compare and contrast, we talked about around Imola 2022, there was a massive sea shift in the way all of those Sky Sports pods were covering Lewis Hamilton, right? So they realised that there was a plethora, a groundswell of social media support around Lewis that were no longer going to stand for any anti-Lewis bias from the likes of Nico Rosberg, who had the bloody cheek to talk about how George Russell was dominating, and I quote, his teammate, 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton. No longer were people going to stand for that that. And so Nico Rosberg fell in line, Simon, Ted, they all started to cover Lewis and his exploits and mistakes in a way that felt a lot fairer, in my humble opinion, to my eye. Naomi was the only one that I don't think has fallen in line in that sense, right, as far as her comments. Like, she's almost quite flippant around Lewis, and not necessarily... I will criticise Lewis Hamilton, but again, I feel like I try my best to be fact-based and hold myself to that journalistic responsibility. Whereas I think Naomi's she's always got one in the chamber for Lewis. She's always got one in the chamber for Lewis, and I don't think that's... even as somebody that's openly criticised Lewis, I don't think that's necessarily fair, and that rubs me up the wrong way, if I'm honest, says Cameron F1, who also criticises
She's
Lewis.
like Skip Bayless with, like, LeBron.
Oh my God, it's so...
Like, do you know what I mean?
Nailed it, bruv. Nailed
There's
it.
always something.
That's it.
There's always something.
Nailed it.
It just feels weird. I get why people are upset about her, because it's few and far between. You know what it is? There's never any, like, context given. There's never any kind of, like, the same leeway she'll give to, like, you know, Alonso or Max, especially Max. There doesn't really seem to be for Lewis, and it's a strange one.
And you know what? Moreover, I tell you what counts against her for me. Not that I know her personally, and this is a massive reach. I don't think she's that likeable, Nyasha. I just don't think she comes across as very... I don't know. She just doesn't... You know how Ted is just a joker and self-deprecating and whatever, and I like Ted. I'm warm to Ted. When Red Bull rallied against Ted, I was on... You know, I'm not having that. That's Ted. And with Naomi, I'm just like... I want to desperately root for her. She's a black woman in a position of quite notable power and seniority on Sky Sports F1. It's perfect. If you'd have told me this, Nash, I'd have been like, let's go. Me and her to the wire, but I'm just not. I'm not there, brother. If I'm honest with you, Uncle Tom Cameron,
not at
Cameron,
all, not at all. And you know
stuff.
what? Look, I was on Twitter last week, absolutely pissed about the scrutiny I was getting for the platform that I have and the platform that I was on, and
oh mate, it's ridiculous.
I can't even imagine working at that level of scrutiny, trying to be yourself but trying to be professional, and I don't know, I'm willing... After you.
No, I'm not saying it, bruv.
No?
I'm not saying it. I'm not
not
gonna,
today, or
I'm not
what?
gonna say it.
But anyway, let's talk about... That's that. We're done. We're done. But we need to get into it. We can literally get into it so much, man. And we've been going for an hour and a half. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Remember, if you've got this far, make sure to give the video a like. Make sure to give us a subscription. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. Is Lewis going to go to Ferrari? Is Mercedes fucked? Is Mike Elliott a very stubborn man who is leading us down the wrong track, or does he have it within him to take us to the promised land? What do you think of Naomi Schiff? All of those things, let us know in the comments. I love talking to you guys in the comments, and it really is a pleasure to be able to broadcast you, but it's a pleasure to be able to be here with man like Cameron F1. Let me give you a round of applause. Oh, that's so good. Oh, sorry, that's like the sarcastic one. Hold on. There you go, bro. Champion conversation. I hope people got something out of that. I know it probably wasn't like... It might have been a bit heavy. I'm not sure. We'll see when we get it. It was a bit techie, but I just feel like I feel better for that conversation, and I think I want to always have real conversations. And look, everyone knows me. I'm a Mercedes man to my core. Well, I'm a Lewis Hamilton man to my core. I was like Lewis Hamilton, world driver champion, on a very big public platform, opening myself up to the most ridiculous ridicule. I will always be pro Lewis and pro Mercedes whilst he's there. But I just think sometimes we just got to call things out for what they are, and what they are not great. I guess you'd agree with that, Cameron.
Absolutely, bruv. Couldn't have said it better nor more succinctly.
Well, look, speaking of succinctly, where can people find you?
Cameron F1 on YouTube, Cameron F1 Live on YouTube, Cameron F1 YT on Twitter, TikTok and IG.
Yeah,
maybe.
nice. I've seen the thumbnails have been going up in style. I've been seeing the videos have been going up in quality. Everyone seems to be leveling up this year. I think the winter break, everyone's showing the strength. We're all out here, but it's great to be able to support each other in this space. So thank you so much.
Nothing but purple sectors. You're a legend, bro. Just trying to get in your slipstream here at Quick Stop F1.
Leave it
is
out.
what I'm trying to do.
I keep looking at our subscribers every day. I'm like, it's not going up quick enough. But don't worry. That's what happens when you take 3 months off, bro. Like, you can't do that. That is suicide. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave us a review. And remember, no matter what life throws at you,
It's on the black stuff.
until next time, take care. Look, mate, if you've got this far, clearly you like what we do. So here's a link to subscribe to the Quick Stop F1 family. Give that a click. And here's another link to some more cool on our channel. Sorry, cool stuff. And remember, no matter what happens, keep it on the black stuff. Click the stuff. Click the links. Click the links. Click the links. There. They're there.